All right, guys, welcome back to the Clack Shack. And tonight, I was gonna do a review on a new machine that got sent to me, but that has turned into a nightmare. I spent the better part of the day trying to work all the problems that I'm having with it out, and it's just not gonna cooperate. So I've emailed the folks that sent it to me just to make sure that I'm not overlooking something, and then we'll go from there. But in the meantime, while I've been out here working, the wife wandered through, and so I've been put on a couple of assignments for her. So I'm just going to take the opportunity, since I had planned on showing y'all the other machine, but that's not going to happen tonight. So I'm going to take the opportunity to just kind of show you some of the projects and stuff that she's got me working on, and I'm going to be using the Comgrow 10 watt over here to fulfill one of her orders. So stick around and we'll be right back, guys. Right, so over here in the 20 watt, I've got a little cutout going, and I'll show you what that looks like when I get through. That she came in here and decided she found an old one that wasn't complete in my recycling bin over there, and decided that she needed one. So I got to do that. And unfortunately, the other night at one of my shows that we were doing, she was so kind as to volunteer to let me use her cutting board from in the kitchen that I made for her as a demo for people to look at. That way they could see what it looks like once you've engraved it. Well, that kind of backfired, guys. While she was away from the booth, a lady came back, and coincidentally, their last name must have started with a C as well, or whoever they were buying it for. And so they bought it. And so now, she's came out here and she's dug through my supply of cutting boards in my box over there on the portable shack. She's picked out another one, and she has ordered it to be customized just like the one that she had. So hopefully I'm out of the doghouse for selling the one that she had let me borrow as a demo. But hey guys, I mean, it was already done. They wanted it, they liked it, you know, let it go. So what I'm gonna do tonight is hopefully get myself out of the doghouse by fixing this one, so that it can take the place of the one that I sold. So here we go, guys. The first thing I'm gonna do is I've got the cutting board in here, and I'm gonna be using my squaring jig, just because even though this is kind of an odd shape, I mean, it's not a perfect square. These things are just more or less just random shapes. But it does have a straight edge on the side, and straight edges typically is what people is gonna judge whether something is square or centered with. So I've just put my squaring jig in there, butted it up against it. I've run the end of it up against the top of the machine because I want the engrave to go here. And what I got to do now is I just got to focus the machine to the surface of the wood. I'm going to be using my engrave setting on my little tool here that I have for the Comgrow. I've got two different settings. I've got a deep focus and a normal focus. And of course I'm going to be going with the normal focus and get that guy set up. And then we're going to build a frame, and I'm going to show you how I go about getting it on this. So the Comgrow is a little more of a two-handed focus job, but all in all, it's effective. So I'm going to bring it out here to the center of the material. I'm going to use my little tool. It just snaps onto the front of the laser head, and you can raise the laser head up and down with it on there. I'm going to set it down on the material. Once it's sitting on the material, that frees up both my hands because it serves as kind of like a kickstand, and tighten those things back. And then all I gotta do is pop this guy off there and put it back on my trusty little hook. So I've got the machine focused now. I'm going to open my instance of Lightburn for this machine because keep in mind, I've got my 20 over here running as well. The 20 is having a field day with this other order that she's put in. So I'm gonna update my overlay. Need to home it first. Gonna home the machine. Update my overlay, and I'm gonna throw myself a little box up there about where I think it should be, just going by the camera. And I'm gonna set that as a tool line and go ahead and frame that and see what that looks like. See how much I need to move it. Okay, so I do need to move it. Need to make it a little bit smaller on that left side. Going back. I'm trying to get that right on that edge. I mean, it has got to be exactly perfect, but yeah, y'all know how my have a bit of a disorder when it comes to that. So I want it right against that edge. So I'm gonna keep doing it until I get it right on there. There we go. That's where I want it, just shaving the edge. All right, so now that I've got my tool line, that drew out the tool line that I'm using. All right, so I'm gonna leave the tool line alone, and now I'm going to import the design for that, and that's one of my stove cover designs that I had done the other one on. We'll frame again, make sure I didn't move my little square. I did move it, but I undid it and moved it back. So, all right, so that's got my square where I want it. I'm gonna turn the frame off for the square now, and I'm just gonna frame the engrave just to see how big this is gonna be. So that's just gonna be my engrave. Now keep in mind, this engrave does have a tool line that is standing out just ever so slightly away from it. So I'm gonna turn that tool line off as well, and I'm gonna frame and show the actual size of the engrave. And this thing's a little odd shaping, so it's gonna frame a little to the side, but everything looks good. Framing one last time, and I gotta check my power settings to make sure that the power is adequate, because keep in mind, guys, each machine is gonna be a little different. So I'm gonna run this at 40 speed, at 100% output. I'm only running it at 127 DPI. I've got a line in there, it's gonna be running at 100 and 100, which actually needs to be changed to about 70 for this type of material. Everything else is gonna be 40. So here we go, guys. I am going to move my line up to the top so that it'll do it first. Get all my tool lines out of the way. And there we go. Let's get her started. This is probably gonna get smoky. This is just the outline that is burning right now. This is just a little pencil line, basically, that I just use to kind of do a little extra marking so that I can tell exactly where the engrave is going to go. And then once it does that, it should go back and it'll do the rest of the engraving. I'm gonna move the camera up so you can see a little bit better, guys. All right, guys, the machine's going. While we wait, we'll have a little conversation with you. This isn't gonna take too long, so I'm probably just gonna wait this one out. But right before this video, I took the other machine that I was gonna try to use tonight. I have modified my locking panel to work for it so that I could use my jig kit and everything. And had it in there and just could not get it to work. I've updated Lightburn, I've updated my laptop, I've restarted everything. The machine that I was using, I did everything I knew to do, guys. And I consider myself pretty well versed on these things, but I could not get it to cooperate with me. The machine worked well when it worked, but it kept tripping a limit switch failure. So I finally just kicked it out of the enclosure and just decided we would do a video on this tonight. I was gonna use that machine, but it didn't cooperate. So I'm back here with the trusty Comgrow. But before I put the Comgrow back in here, I was having a few issues the other day, and I got to going back over the install process and everything, and I realized that I had not flashed the firmware to the latest firmware. Although it was a brand new machine, you know, you never know how long that firmware has been sitting on a machine. So before this video, I did take and go to Comgrow's website, download the firmware, and reinstalled the firmware, the most recent version, to this machine using the CF card. So if you've never done that, or if you don't know how to do that, let me know. It's really not a hard process, but it's the SD card on this machine is a little challenging to get to, so there's not going to be any accidental taking it out or anything. But so I'm running right now with this Comgrow, I'm running the most recent version of their firmware on their website, and we'll see if I have any issues tonight, but hopefully I won't. The issues that I did have were very minimal and not very often, but so it was actually usable and I could work around it, but you know, I want to try to get it to where it has no issues at all. And so far tonight it's working well. I am running air assist on this, guys. I've got the Comgrow air assist turned all the way up to the maximum setting. So, and this is water oak wood that I milled off the sawmill. So this is a very hard wood, but the one thing I have learned about water oak is it's a light colored wood, but it likes to burn really dark, and it makes really nice looking engraves. And I've got the door open on the enclosure, so we're just gonna have to deal with the smoke, guys. I'd rather you be able to see the machine work. And I'm still impressed with the machine and its abilities for the money. I mean, I still don't think it's a bad deal, especially if you're, you know, a hobbyist and you're not necessarily trying to make a living with it, because you can get honeycomb, air assist, machine, and everything for a decent price. So if you're interested, check down below in the description, and I'll have a link down there. I am a affiliate of Comgrow, and they also sent me this machine for free. I don't know how long I've got to keep saying that, but I didn't pay for the machine, but as you can see, I've put it in my enclosure and I'm using it. So obviously I don't hate it too bad, or it wouldn't be here. I've got 6 other machines to pick from. Now I do have this graphic, for those of you that are new to Lightburn, I do have this graphic set to flood fill, and that's how it's able to eliminate a lot of that white space. I don't know if you've watched many engraves of your own. Instead of the laser going from this side to that side and back and forth, I have actually split this graphic into segments and turned on flood fill. So it basically starts at the bottom, goes to the top, starts at the top, goes to the bottom. That type of maneuver to avoid all that white space travel. I don't like using white space scan. It seems to make the machines get a little jerky, and I'm not a fan of really high white space scan settings. I would rather just take a little longer than have my machine look like it's having a seizure. I'm going to tell you guys, I am really digging the configuration of this. But this machine, a must is to set it to where it goes back there and gets out of the way. So there's the graphic, guys. That's straight off of the machine, running full air assist. No pre-treatment. That's just wood. I've done nothing to it. There's no, I didn't put any baking soda or any kind of laundry detergent or anything on that. That is straight out of the laser. No prep, no sanding, no nothing. And there it is. So that's one project down for the wife. I am going to hit this with a sander just a little bit, because there's a couple of little places that have a little smudge. All right, guys, before I move the camera and we get away from the machine, I want to show you one more thing. Like I said, I've played with the focus on this machine, and I come up with my own special setting that I've like, and that's what I've got my tool set to. But I want to show you, I want to do a drop test on this little piece of material here. Show you what kind of a fine cut I'm getting out of this thing. I'm going to try to put a circle, because circles tend to fall out a little easier. We'll put a circle on that piece of wood that is above the other 2 pieces of wood. But first I need to move over to it and set my focus. So I'm going to move the laser head over to that pile and set the focus right quick. I should have to go down, so I'm going to go ahead and attach my focusing tool there. Lower it down onto it. Pop that guy off. All right, I'm gonna rehome. And yes, guys, if you're not familiar with this machine, that is a Clactical air assist line right there, running down through that tubing instead of over here out the side or the front or anything. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna use circle frame and frame out where this is going. And this is just aiming it using the camera. So like I said, my camera has been moved from machine to machine, so it's a little off. Do this again. All right, guys, I hope you can see. I'm gonna drop you down a little bit so you can see it better. All right, there we go. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna run this. I'm gonna set this for 3 passes, because I'm pretty confident that this machine is gonna cut it in 3 passes. And we're gonna see how many passes or how long it takes for it to drop. And this is gonna be a little drop test. This lets you know that when you're cutting things out, because if there's any little hairs of fiber holding, that thing's not gonna drop. So the only way that I can get a successful drop test with this is if it cuts it completely, and it will fall out of the hole on its own weight. Look at that, guys. That was 2 passes. That is 4.5 millimeter Luan in 2 passes. Now, I had to play with the focus. All right, I don't use Comgrow's little focusing tool that they want you to use. I developed my own focus, and I did it using a series of tests that I performed that ranged anywhere from just making a line on a piece of material up to actually doing cuts. And so I did that several times to determine what I liked best as far as the cleanness of the cut and everything. And look at this cut, guys. This got to be exactly back where it came from. Now, it did cut it again after it fell, because it fell sideways. But I mean, that's a good clean cut. So I'm gonna run it again just to show you it's not a fluke, and we'll see how many passes it takes for it to fall. That is 1 complete pass. Two complete passes right there, guys. And there you have it. Drop test is with the Comgrow. And it is it is messing up the piece that fell, because it lands and then falls over, so it messes it up. But check out the cut, guys. That's with the Comgrow air assist, so that's running full air. All right, guys, turn the air assist and the vacuum off over here, and it should get a little quieter. Put my little scraps back in my box. The other engrave that my wife wanted was this guy here, and I used my main machine because I used some of this leftover really thick plywood that I have. This is the 4.7 millimeter material, so it takes a little more time and a little more power to cut through this stuff, and I gotta sand that up, but that's what she wanted, so I'm gonna lay that over here. That's 2 off the honeydew list. All right, got that one done. And I asked her if she wanted me to sand it or paint it or anything before I engraved it, but she wanted it just like this, and so following orders, that's how it is. All right. I'm gonna show you the cutting board. I did just a little quick hit with the sander and hit it with a compressed air. And guys, if you're not using, like I use 120 pounds of air pressure, and I blast these guys with a high pressure nozzle to get all the soot and stuff out of there, so that it doesn't smear or doesn't get on your hands or anything like that. And it also gives you a lot cleaner edges in there. But like I said, this is run at 127 DPI, guys. And that's with the Comgrow. And you don't see any big lines or anything like that. Let me try to get it close as I can get it. But that's a pretty good job. So I'm very happy with that. And no issues tonight with the Comgrow after I flashed the firmware. So hopefully, if I did have an issue, hopefully that's gone now. No gremlins to speak of tonight. All right, guys, that's it for tonight. Like I said, I apologize for the lack of content. I had really planned on going through this other machine with you, but that just did not pan out. And I'm going to give the company an opportunity, in case it was a lemon or in case I got a bad machine, to give me some direction, or you know, give me another one or whatever before I release anything on it, because I have a hard time believing that there's not something that I'm doing wrong. So until next time, guys, as always, hit the subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, whatever you can do to help support the channel and show some love. And if you get a chance, go over and check out some of my neighbors and just tell them that the Clack Shack sent you. But until next time, guys, have a good night.